you don't feel like doing it, and what to do about it. So I personally go through those days when I personally don't feel like doing something when I know I'm supposed to do it, and I'm sure that you go through the same thing, right? And by the way, comment down below, what is it that you don't feel like doing but you know you're going to need to do it anyways? Like, let's say for example, you go to a career, right? You have a job, you need that money. Or perhaps, you want to go through a certain career line, whatever that may be. And let's say that it is for a salesperson, right? There are going to be days when you don't feel like closing sales, even though you know that's what you need to do. In fact, anything that you commit to in the long term, be working, your long-term hobbies, it's quite normal to feel like not doing it, right? Because for most people, when you're on doing something, right, there's always going to be that increase in that peak where you feel like, oh, I feel like doing it, and then eventually it's going to go down and going to go up like this. So that's quite normal actually. So there's no need to shame yourself or feel bad if there are going to be times when you don't feel like doing something, because that's quite normal. Now, how do you make sure that this dipping curve, right, doesn't go on, how do you minimize that? How do you get out of those down cycles when you do get there? It's helpful, and what I've come to understand is to remind yourself what your why is. Why is it that you do that hobby, the job, whatever it is? So, for example, I have practiced, martial arts since I was 16. So, at the time of this video, I have done it for about 12 years or so, right? So one of the styles I learned is Kung Fu, Chinese Kung Fu. And I had my ups and downs, right? There were times when I was like, look forward to practice, and there'd be times where, years where I'd be staying the downside, right? Like, I don't want to do it, whatever. So I'm kind of going like this pattern as well. I feel like doing it, and there are times when I don't feel like doing it. I don't like practicing my techniques, it gets boring. So here are a couple ways you can deal with that. The first thing you have to realize that when you are trying to get good at something, or you're doing something you're committed to, that sometimes boredom can be a good sign, because it could mean that you are getting to a point where you're deepening your understanding. When you're getting bored doing something and learning something that you're committed to, what that means is that you're getting to a point where you're going to deepen your understanding, you're going to get much better at it. Is at that point where you're going from, unconscious competence, meaning that you're getting to a point where the thing becomes very normal to you and you can do it without thinking. And that means your progress is going to go like this, right? If you don't ever reach to that point, it means you probably haven't practiced enough. So the point of mastery is when you're about to get really bored of something, when you're about to bored. And there's two typical ways you could go about it. You can either stop because it gets boring, that's up to you, or you could just push yourself through that boredom, and eventually you're going to feel like you want to do it again, and your skill will improve after you get to that point. But it's also one of the most dangerous points, because a number of people will give up at that point. They're like, it's too boring, why should I do this? And so, as they say, success is often the closest when you feel like failing. Again, success is at the razor edge when you feel like you want to give up. And most oftentimes you're pretty close, you just don't know it. And so that's something to consider. The other thing that you want to take a look at is to review your why. Why is it that you do what you do? And perhaps this thing maybe has changed. Maybe you need to reevaluate what that would be. Now, let's say, for example, that your goal, or at least for me as a martial artist, was to practice the basic stances. Now I kind of got that down. What's my next one? Okay, now I need to learn how to use these techniques against perhaps other styles. So I will need to change my why. Give myself a new challenge. Also, the other thing is that it helps to tell yourself affirmations. And affirmations are things where it's like a statement that I will be responsible, I will do whatever it takes to achieve the goal for myself and my loved ones. Something like that. Because you want to program your mind for success, so make sure that whenever you're committing to something, you're this fluctuation going, like, I feel like it, I don't feel like it, I feel like it, I don't feel like it, will be much less. And so you're less likely to give it up when things get boring, they get, just don't feel like doing it. So again, when you don't feel like doing it, is at that point where you're most likely going to make the most breakthrough with the most results. So think about that. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also post a comment down below times when you don't feel like doing something and what did you do about it. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button and notification button down below for the next mindset video to make sure that your mindset is set up correctly so that you can achieve your goals. I will see you again next time.